still on his way, I believe. All right. Just an airplane mode reminder. No worries. And good evening and hello all. I realize I don't say that when I start the meeting, so never too late to start. I just want to welcome you. Thank you. Take your time. To the announcements.
We will be.
Okay. If we could please have a roll call.
Ms. Bowes.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Ms. Evans.
Here.
Ms. Farmer.
Here.
Ms. Groger.
Here.
Dr. King. Mr. Pluta.
Here.
Ms. Santos. Mr. Van Hise.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Thank you. Okay. All right. Executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act authorizes boards of education to meet in executive session under certain circumstances, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act requires the board to adopt a resolution at a public meeting to go into a private session, now therefore be it resolved by the Lawrence Township Board of Education that it is necessary to meet in executive session to discuss certain items involving matters of personal confidentiality rights, included but not limited to staff and/or student discipline matters, and specifically matters in which the release of information would impair the right to receive government funds, and specifically matters which, if publicly disclosed, would constitute an unwarranted invasion of individual privacy, and specifically matters concerning negotiations, and specifically matters involving the purchase of real estate and investment of public funds, and specifically matters involving real tactics and techniques utilized in protecting the safety and property of the public, and specifically matters involving anticipated or pending litigation, including matters of attorney-client privilege, and specifically special education settlement. Matters involving personnel issues, included but not limited to the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms of and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance, promotion of discipline of any public officer or employee, and specifically superintendent's evaluation. Matters involving quasi-judicial deliberations, and specifically be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential, will be made public as soon as feasible. The minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Further resolved that the board will return to open session and to conduct business at the conclusion of the executive session. Formal action will not be taken in executive session, and the executive session is expected to last approximately 30 minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. With a motion and a second, if we could please call the roll.
Ms. Bowes.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Ms. Groger.
Yes.
Mr. Pluta.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise.
Yes.
Ms. Farmer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay. So we're expected to return somewhere in between by 7:10, 7:15.
Whatever the sundial says.
You
Announcement of notice, open public meeting statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. As required under law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided via email and/or fax to the Times, the Lawrence Ledger, the Public Library, and has been filed with the municipal clerk. This notice was provided prior to 48 hours required by the Open Public Meetings Act. The board reserves the right to limit public discussion of personnel items and other matters as defined in the law. We'll now have the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Being that it is August, there is no student representative report. And we will move to recognition and acknowledgements.
There are none.
There are none? Okay. That being said, then we'll move to the adoption of minutes. If I could have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay. With a motion and a second, if we could please call the roll for minutes from the 7/12/2023 meeting. And do we need a separate motion for the second minutes?
You can
Okay.
combine them if you wish.
Let's combine them and have minutes from the 7/19 meeting also be voted on. Thank you.
Ms.
Call the roll.
Evans and Ms. Bose, will you extend your motion and second to that one also?
Yes.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Expedient.
Ms. Bose,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Kroger,
Yes.
Mr. Pluta,
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise,
Yes.
Ms. Farmer.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. This brings us now to the superintendent's report. Dr. Kaysen?
Thank you, and thank you for coming tonight. I will be brief as we have a quick testing presentation in a few minutes, but I wanted to begin by thanking Robin, Tom, and Pimmy, and all of those who are working on the preschool expansion aid grant application. It's a tremendous amount of time to complete the grant, and probably even more important, a ton of time to figure out what could be possible in an attempt to offer more preschool to more students with our current space constraints. They have been working diligently to be creative, to think out of the box, to decipher the crazy state guidelines, and also involve community partners like ECV. So it's still a work in progress, and I know it's on the agenda tonight. It just allows us to move forward with the grant. So again, thank you for all of that. And then finally, I wanted to thank everybody from our buildings and grounds to our technology department, to our custodians, to our administrators and secretaries, and anyone else who is working hard to make sure that we're ready for our students. The buildings are shaping up nicely. We will be ready when the students arrive, as always, and it's really been a team effort, and everybody is putting in a ton of time and effort on that. So thank you to all. And with that, I'll turn the test and presentation. Are you going to kick it off, Pimmy, or is it just... All right, so I'll ask Sarah Foster and Mary Pankos to come up and talk about our AP scores in the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Exam.
Okay, so I feel weird having my back towards the audience. I'm going to try and speak to both. We're presenting today on first the NJGPA assessment scores from the NJGPA test that our high school juniors took in March. This score is the first state requirement for assessment for graduation for our high school juniors to take. There are other pathways that they can meet for graduation. This happens to be the first. So with the NJGPA, this is the first year that it's counted for our students. Students who did not meet the cut score for that NJGPA can meet in ELA or math in this menu of tests here as a second pathway. Most of our students who didn't meet cut scores on NJGPA have met through the second pathway. And if for some reason our students still haven't met cut scores on one of these menu of assessments, they move on to a third pathway, which is a teacher-assisted portfolio. For this portfolio pathway, we've established for this school year a course that goes along with it where our teachers can really work on remediating some of the skill gaps that our students may have had shown through these assessments. So this leads us into our math scores from NJGPA. The next two slides are going to show demographic and program breakdowns amongst our scores. In blue, you'll see our percentage of students who are passing, and in red, the percentage of students who did not meet the 725 cut score. Whoop. And by program. Here, it's important to note in our special education numbers, our special education population predominantly just needs to sit for that NJGPA test, and then is ultimately usually waived through their IEP from that requirement. So you'll see those scores show up, but most of those scores do not count for those students. This table shows our scores in where students from our district in the above 3 rows are above, at, or near, or not yet, and showing proficiency in the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for math by math domain. So this is what I, as a content area supervisor, am really diving down deep into coming up with different interventions and program models and adjustments looking forward. And then the course that we created for math students who did not meet that NJGPA cut score is called Math Lab. This just shows a little bit of our demographic of the students enrolled in Math Lab for this year. The students that we identified for this course actually sat for a second time to do another attempt at the NJGPA test just this summer. We should have internal reads on how those students did probably towards the end of the summer, and we'll be able to adjust their schedules proactively so that they can open up to more electives or perhaps an early release or a study hall in their schedule for senior year. What's interesting about the Math Lab course, and I think you'll see similar trends to our English Lab course, most of the students enrolled were new to LHS in 10th or 11th grades. They were not our students from kindergarten or elementary on, and most of those students were also identified as English language learners. So these are some of the things that we've been working on this year and plan on either continuing or expanding for our high school math program, and even before students get to high school, to support a cohesive K-12 program in math. One of those things that, when you go back to the domain slide, that we're really looking at is programming and how do we support our students' deep critical thinking of concepts and application of those concepts through math inquiry. That's a continuation from the K-5 Bridges program up through Desmos classrooms from 6th grade through Algebra 1, and when it's available for our 10th and 11th graders in Geometry and Algebra 2 in the 24-25 school year. We also have a lot of programs to pre-mediate students where we're trying to catch kids ahead of when they struggle to front load them with concepts so that they'll be more supportive throughout the school year and be able to get a head start leading into their class. We, of course, have that Math Lab course for the students who need extra support because they had not met some of those cut scores. And we've trained some of our high school and other schools math teachers in multisensory intervention to really work on other ways to reach the students who are struggling in math that maybe will support them in just formalizing some of those concepts.
You can click for me. I'm very excited to talk about the English scores. And my demographics are a little different here. You can see in blue the percentage of students who are passing versus the percentage of students in red who did not pass the GPA in English. And this is the by race breakout. And the next slide is by program. And you'll notice, as Sarah mentioned, a lot of the students enrolled in special education do have to sit for the test, but a lot of them were successful and passed it. But as she did mention, a lot of our English as a second language learners were new to this district in 10th or 11th grade, and they are compelled by the state to take a test in which they do not understand the language in order to pass graduation requirements. So we are busy working with them to get them to a place where they can take one of the other pathways to meet graduation requirements. So we're doing what we can for them. You can see that our district average is well above the state average. And like Sarah, we are diving into what the students actually need. And even where we are a little bit low in reading literature and reading vocabulary, we still outperform the state, and especially in vocabulary, which the state had 57%. We have 66% of our students above what they expected. And I attribute that to the efforts that we've made in the past few years at both the middle school and the high school in our literacy initiatives, especially targeting disciplinary literacy and teachers who are trained as history or science teachers to really dive deep and teach students nonfiction text strategies for a test such as this. The demographics of our English Lab students, again, you can see that students who have attended Lawrence Township Public Schools since grade kindergarten are significantly low. They're under 20%. The students represented in the senior class, and they represent even less of the percentage of the graduating class. The students who are new to Lawrence High School in 10th or 11th grade are 80% of the students represented there. Again, they are not our students coming here. We are doing our best to provide them with quality education that they deserve once they arrived here. And again, most of those students are enrolled in our English as a Second Language program. So our road forward is we had students attend the summer program. They did summer practice. They took the test again for the English GPA. We hope to get those test scores back very soon. We're implementing the English lab class for the students who are not for the students who are at risk of not graduating. We're going to train our other teachers to administer the second pathways to graduation. So they'll be working with those students and our ESL students to do that portfolio, that third pathway. We're going to reevaluate our entry procedures at the high school level to specifically catch students who come in maybe with some of the gaps so that we can get them to where they need to be before they take the GPA if the state decides that this is the graduation test that they want to continue offering. And we're going to continue our support for the literacy initiatives at both the middle school and the high school with a specific focus this year on developing academic vocabulary skills. Which leads us to our next test, the AP exams. So global testing, our AP enrollment, May 2023 was significantly higher than it's been in the past couple of years. Back in 2021, we were coming out of the pandemic, and that pandemic test and the post-pandemic test was computer-based, and it was at home with mom and dad proctoring. Last year, we had less students enrolled in our AP programs. The format went back to paper-based, and we proctored it here at school. And this year, we had more students enrolled in the AP program. It was paper-based, except for world language, and the test was at school. From College Board, it might be computer-based in years to come. So that's something that we are keeping our eyes on here at the secondary level. As far as the results in our subject areas, I highlighted 2023 because that's the year that we are in. You can see that our scores have relatively remained high. I had a couple of dips, but I'll talk to you a little bit about them on the next slide. But mostly we have kept pretty steady in how our students have performed. When you see US government, we only had one student take that exam, and that is not a sample size that I can report because it's just how the one student performed. And that happens with some of my classes, especially the world language classes. So in years past, where you see Chinese language and culture, it's been a number that is too small of a sample size to report out. And same thing goes with French and Spanish. Sometimes those numbers are very, very low. As we compare our results to New Jersey and the world, we come out significantly higher than New Jersey and the world. So the English language composition and the US history course, even though we took a little dip in there from where we have been performing in previous years, you can see that we are still significantly higher than what the state of New Jersey has been reporting at and what the global scores have been reporting at as well. And from the community of educators, we heard that there were some significant changes to those tests. So we're going to be keeping our eye on that. But throughout the state, the scores were a little bit lower. And you can see, especially with English language and composition, we scored at 82% with our students passing the test, where the rest of New Jersey scored at 68%. So I'm really proud of the results that we had this year. As far as the world history class, this is the first time that we've had a significant number of students taking that test, and they really did a wonderful job on that test. I'm very, very proud of them. I'm going to be looking at our macroeconomics and microeconomics course. Currently, that course is one course, and other districts offer it as two separate courses, so that's something that I'm considering changing for the 24-25 school year. So a little warranting of investigation. And now I believe it's time for you.
So last but not least, we get into the STEM and art departments. In that third column has our scores for this year for students who had a 3 or higher on the AP test. Most of them have trended up. The ones that I really want to highlight especially are in AP Chemistry, AP Computer Science Principles, and AP Physics. In AP Chemistry and AP Physics, we had teachers teaching that course for the first year, which means I expect possible improvement moving forward as they get to know the class a little bit better and the expectations, but our scores really went up with those teachers in the first go at it. In AP Computer Science Principles, our number of students who took the test just exploded this year, and we're actually expanding that program as we go forward, and our students are doing really, really well. Pretty much across the board, we've either stayed flat or have improved in our scores historically. When we compare our scores to New Jersey and global, almost every area here that you see in green, we're higher than the state or global averages. The 2 that are in yellow for statistics and chemistry, we are not above the state, but we're pretty close. We are above the global average, and overall, we're doing really, really well. And I think that's it. So thank you for your time. We tried to condense it as much as possible for you. So thank
job.
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Good job.
Thank you for that. Next is the board secretary report.
I'm going to postpone until the, not next meeting, but the meeting after that.
What?
Okay, that brings us to, let's see. Let me just see. For the president's report, actually, I don't have much other than, once again, to recognize Ross, superintendent of the year, as well as there will be a couple of retirement celebrations and open houses where we can all also have an opportunity to spend some time with you, and looking forward to that.
Thank you.
And then I just want to open, I don't know if anyone on the board wanted to say anything or make any comments that you're welcome to do. No? Okay. With that, we will then continue on to our committee reports, beginning with Community Relations and Legislative Affairs.
I'm giving the report on Amanda's behalf while she's working on her opera company. We met August 4th at noon. In attendance were Robin Klim, Ross Kaysen, Amanda Santos, and myself. We talked about the year in review, to have community conversations throughout the school year like we've just done recently, an events calendar with a new app through the Blackboard program, and a suggestion was made to have Board of Ed meetings in various schools throughout the district. Robin met with Chief Longo and Margarita Leahy from the Mercer Council on Alcoholism and Drug Prevention and discussed prevention measures, harm reduction measures, social media, bullying, and the like. There's a Secret Service partnership. Robin has a connection with someone who works for the Missing and Exploited Children Unit, discussing with them providing training on a variety of topics, and will partner with Chief Longo. The wiring is in for the vape detectors, and information will go out to the students in the fall. There's a meet and greet to be planned with Vanessa at the middle school library, so everyone can meet her the way they met Robin. And we will wait for Vanessa to arrive fully to set dates and goals for the future of the committee. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Negotiations has not met, but I believe we're in discussions with
LTPS Day, and we're going to meet next Wednesday.
LTPS, and meeting next Wednesday, okay? Equity.
Equity met today. In attendance was Clifton Thompson, Dr. Ross Kaysen, Ranjit Goomer, Amanda Santos, and myself. The meeting covered a summary of the Equity Coach Retreat that took place on 8/7 yesterday, 2 days ago, sorry. It covered the status of the equity journey, how people can relate to it, what everyone's place and role is within the process. The retreat was well attended and received. There will be additional weekend sessions that will be made available to include those that were unable to attend. Currently in planning, there will be a district equity statement. This will be posted on the public website once it's made available and ready. The next meeting will take place on September 29th.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have guidance and mental health.
Guidance and Mental Health met on August 3rd. We discussed the year in review and preparing for Vanessa's arrival. We're excited about her coming on board. We discussed the mental health grant, the Thrive Aware grant, sorry. We will be finding that out in the next couple of weeks if we will be getting it. We talked about dress code language. There will be a universal statement that will go into all student handbooks. I believe each school is working on that right now. College boot camp occurred this past week. Approximately 119 students signed up to attend. Colleges that were there were Rutgers, Montclair, Rider, TCNJ, Keene, Stockton, and Mercer County Community College. We will also be having a virtual financial aid night on October 26th, so parents should mark their calendar. For those who have juniors and seniors in the high school. We also have an opportunity if students want to become peer educators and working with women's space, they can speak to school guidance counselors to participate in that. And I think that's it. Guidance and Mental Health will be meeting quarterly going forward.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next brings us to liaison reports, New Jersey School Board Association.
Okay, I have two things. Both Michelle Bose and I attended this morning a webinar on what candidates should know about campaigns, finances, information, and disclosures. It's 10 o'clock this morning to 11. My eyes are still crossing from
It
all
was
the
whack.
changes.
I'm going to just say that.
For somebody, the board
was
members
insane.
who don't get paid a penny to have to go through all of this just to.
It was really a lot.
Intense, but we attended. It will be available for your pleasure to watch. Some new little clicks that you can go on at the website. If you see a sign that doesn't have paid for the name and it's supposed to have the address now of the person, you can report them, and then they go after them for fining them dollar amounts. That was something that I didn't know about. So there were a bunch of changes. The other piece that came through today that there's going to be an educator certification free holiday starting July 1st to June 30th, 2024. The goal of the free holiday is to bolster the teaching profession and recognize invaluable contributions of educators effective immediately. The free holiday initiative aims to alleviate financial burdens for both current and aspiring educators for the state of New Jersey, which was exciting to get. As you know, we have difficulty getting new educators. And that's it for New Jersey school boards.
Thank you. Lawrence Township Education Foundation.
LTEF did not meet this month.
Okay. Lawrence Town Council. Okay, Ms. Amanda, so she was not able to attend. Lawrence Township Growth and Redevelopment. We met yesterday at the Cherry Grove Organic Farm. We are continuing our road tour of visiting local businesses in Lawrence Township. Unfortunately, we did not have a quorum, so we could not discuss business, but I was able to pick these beautiful flowers that are sitting on our table here in honor of Dr. Kaysen. I wanted to bring a little something back, but we will be meeting next month, hopefully, with a quorum. It's a little difficult in the summer to bring people together. All right.
Flowers always remind me of brains, don't they?
Very good. Yes, very appropriate. Okay. And Direct Link.
Did not meet.
Okay. That brings us to partnership, which is Every Child Value, as I mentioned in our last meeting, has been doing a running club with young students from Lawrence. Their first session was with high school students. They had about 10. I have a video. I'm sorry I did not bring to share, but we'll try and for the next meeting to show you all just what they're doing in terms of healthy kids and some of their summer activities. But it was very successful. They're now in their current second session for the younger students that are from third grade into middle school. So I'll share more of that, but they wanted to extend sincere and gratitude and thank you to Anthony Amarato, our district, for our support and the use of the track. So they were very, wanted to make sure that I got that noted. They're very thankful for that. And that brings us next to Mercer County VOTEC. And I think that's Michelle King, and she's not here this evening. Special education.
Special education, we had discussion last Thursday. That discussion was a handoff meeting between Robin and Vanessa and myself. There, we just brought everything up to speed on everything that's going on within the district and some of the plans going forward, being one of the first items with a fall meet and greet is currently in the works with CPAC, and we're looking forward to the upcoming year.
Thank you. With that, brings us to the next opportunity, review of communications. Do we have any?
There are none.
For public input, we simply ask that you come to the mic, state your name, your address. If you don't want to state the address, you're able, I believe, to write it on the sheet that is there.
My
Thank
name
you.
is Gloria Anderson, and I live at 25 Boston Court in Lawrence Township. I've been a resident of Lawrence Township for 25 years. Been an employee here for 8+ years. I told my mother that I was going to address you tonight. All the board members, Mr. Van Heist, Dr. Kaysen, you are leaving. Congratulations. You are Superintendent of the Year. Congratulations again. But I want to let y'all know how it feels to hold your mother's hand while she's dying. Lost my mother in March, and I promised her, like I told Tom, I promised my mother that I was going to let my feelings show about being made the most unappreciated Black female security monitor that this school district has ever had. For 8 years, I stand and I watch people get promoted one after the other. And I watch you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Do you know what that means? Have you ever been me? A person that works hard to try to surpass any requirement that they had from the door on me, working for $10 an hour, $15 an hour, only to see men from other school districts go to $30 an hour while I'm still standing at the end of the line. I want you to know how that hurts to be me, to be a sub 8 years later, to have people tell you, oh, we got you. Oh, we're gonna take care of you. Oh, just keep working hard. And I came in whenever I was needed, whenever people wanted me to work part-time, full-time. You know, when you work for $10 an hour, it's $5 after tax. I'm sorry I can't appreciate you, Dr. Kaysen, the way I should, but it's wrong to treat a person who live and pay taxes in Lawrence Township for over 25 years with the skill set that I have, the dedication I had, the loyalty that I showed you and everybody else here, to go to interview after interview and give my best, put my best foot forward, only to see all men except for one female. How do you have 50% female students and only one female? represent them. And all men, they worked all summer, they work all winter. How do you think I feel? Everybody at this table. I'm a retired sheriff officer. I went through academy, I went through New Jersey State Police Guard School. None of that mattered when I came here. I had to sit in silence, and watch people who are undeserving go to the front of the line. I have to watch Channel 19, your program, boasting and bragging on, look at the Class 3 male officers we hired, of which most don't live here or pay taxes here. Look at the full-time male security monitors. They don't live here either. Nobody considered my feelings at all. But this lady right here, thank God for you, Ms. Groger, because you feel my pain. Mr. Van Heist, thank you for asking about my mother. You have daughters too. I appreciate you for that. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for taking the time to tell me some things I needed to hear to encourage my heart about my mother passing, because I miss her, but I know she's resting peacefully with the Lord. But I have to tell you guys, women matter too. Women count too. We have goals and aspirations. If I didn't care about so many students running up to me asking me who I was and where I've been, hey guys, I wouldn't be here. I'd have quit a long time ago. Because to have me stand out in the cold after football games while all the cops get in their cars and all the monitors leave was hurtful and disgusting. And I'm ashamed of a district that don't honor the women as well as the men who step up to the plate and want to get their respect and their just due. I'm ashamed of you for that.
Okay.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, Gloria. Okay.
I'm not sorry. I meant every word I said, because it's wrong.
We hear you.
And there's nothing you can say, anybody at this table can say or do to fix the pain and the hurt that you put upon me for 8 years of hard work to have nothing to show for it, but men running around here smiling.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry.
I know, but I'm sorry.
You shouldn't be sorry either.
Well, we hear you.
No, you don't.
Okay.
It's a little too late for that. Thank you for nothing.
Okay. Okay. All right. If we have anyone else? I don't have a clock. Okay, I need a timer. I need a timer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Kimberly Vinch. I live at 11 Vinch Avenue in Lawrence. I'm here tonight not just as a community member, but as a staff member at Ben Franklin Elementary School. This week, it's come to the attention of our Ben Franklin family that Dr. Jennifer Mahler is being moved from her current position as school psychologist at Ben Franklin to a position at Lawrence Middle School. I'm here to respectfully request that the board reconsider this move. I was hired by this district in 2007 as a special education teacher in the preschool program. At that time, the self-contained special education program preschool classes were just being opened. I've been fortunate to be part of the program from its inception, and since that time, there have been many changes. That's including directors, supervisors, superintendents. There have been good years, there have been some challenging years, but what has not changed and what has been the constant is the support of Dr. Mahler. I firmly believe that Jen's knowledge and expertise has helped to guide our program in the midst of these changes. Jen has been in the district for 19 years, supporting the most vulnerable students. And for the last 6 years, she has been at Ben Franklin working tirelessly to support students and families. She supports not only the special education community at Ben Franklin, but she works hard to support all staff, including general education, teachers, and students. Ben Franklin is a unique school in that we have the largest percentage of special education students of all the elementary schools. In a school of approximately 350 students, there are about 110 students who currently have IEPs. This is unique. That is approximately 32% special education, just shy of about 1/3 of our students require special education supports. Jen case manages more than 50 of these students and families. And when necessary, Jen, of course, has to case manage out-of-district placements as well. What also makes Ben Franklin program unique is that many of our students with special needs are the children with the most intensive needs in the district. Our program, under Jen's lead, has kept these children in district to learn and play among their peers, rather than being sent out of district. Aside from her case management duties, Jen has obtained medical care, housing, and other disability resources for families. She goes above and beyond for our families and our students. She has supported and facilitated community-based instruction, supported the development of a swimming program for students with disabilities who are at a higher risk of drowning. I'm pleading with the board to reconsider moving Dr. Mahler from her current position at Ben Franklin. Our district is, again, in the midst of a lot of change. Think about this. The special education program at Ben Franklin has to adjust to the changes in all of the education administration. Soon-to-be superintendent, assistant superintendent for student services, special education supervisor, and also our principal. I feel that changing the one constant, Jen Mahler, would be devastating to our program. In the midst of these changes, we need Jen to stay in her current position at Ben Franklin to continue to connect all the pieces. She provides Ben Franklin with an essential single point of contact where the school professionals and parents can come for information that supports the program and the students. Our school community needs Dr. Jennifer Mahler to stay at Ben Franklin to continue to support our most vulnerable students and families. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Krisak. I teach kindergarten at Ben Franklin. I am actually representing another special education teacher at Ben Franklin, so these words are not mine. They're from Angela Halbrunner.
Okay. Do you live in Lawrence? I'm sorry, you didn't state your address.
I live in Lawrence on Stonecker Drive.
Okay.
To whom it may concern. I am writing to express my deep concerns regarding the proposed decision to relocate Dr. Jennifer Mahler from Ben Franklin School. It is my firm belief that this move could potentially prove to be detrimental to the school community and have a significant impact on the students, especially considering the unique demographic and requirements of the school. Ben Franklin has established itself as a vital pillar in our school district, primarily due to its commitment to providing exceptional support to its special education population. As the elementary school with the largest special education enrollment, it is imperative that we maintain a cohesive and experienced team to meet the varied and specialized needs of our students. This ensures that they receive the appropriate care, attention, and education required to thrive. Furthermore, Ben Franklin School is also home to the youngest students within our district. The early years of education are crucial for building a strong foundation for each child's academic journey. As such, the presence of an experienced and well-versed school psychologist is paramount. This professional not only plays a pivotal role in identifying and addressing developmental concerns, but also in providing the necessary guidance to teachers, parents, and guardians to support these young learners effectively. Considering these factors, I earnestly implore the board to reconsider the decision to relocate Dr. Jennifer Mahler. The continuity and stability of the school community, especially in the realm of special education, are of the utmost importance. The expertise, rapport, and knowledge that this employee brings to Ben Franklin School cannot be easily replicated, and their absence would undoubtedly be felt deeply by both the students and the staff. In conclusion, the unique challenges posed by Ben Franklin's special education population and its youngest students necessitate the continued presence of an experienced school psychologist. I strongly urge the board to reconsider this decision, bearing in mind the potential consequences for the school community and the students we serve. Thank you for your time and consideration. Angela Halbruner, special education teacher. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a quick comment, and thank you for your comments tonight. Change can be hard, and when a colleague leaves, it's often unsettling. 6 years ago, many came to a board meeting in Lawrence Township, sharing their own fears and their concerns when we were moving a principal from Slackwood to Ben Franklin. That transfer was done because it was best for our students and for our district. And 6 years later, by every account, that move was a home run. I can't discuss in a board meeting personnel decisions, but I can say with confidence, especially I'm in my last month, one of the things I do best is hire and put people in places where they can do excellent things for our students. And that's what the decision is for. This one is for our students, and it is best for our district, and that's why I stand by that recommendation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaysen. Next is the board discussion and work session. I don't believe we have anything.
You don't.
And board discussion and action items. There is none, right? Our first committee is personnel.
Okay, personnel met August 2nd, 8:15 a.m. to roughly 9:20 a.m. In attendance, Dr. Kaysen, Sean Fry, Patricia Farmer, Michelle Bose, Kevin Van Heist, and me, Joanne Groger. We reviewed staffing recommendations, including special education at the middle school and the high school, the need for a social worker. We discussed our current open positions for the upcoming year. Substitute nurse rates were discussed, and they're going to be adjusted from $200 to $225 per day to keep competitive so that we get substitute nurses. Certification office continues to provide challenges for approving applications, and the personnel department is working very hard to try to get everyone's certifications issued for this upcoming September. We reviewed policy on prohibition of corporal punishment. On tonight's agenda, you'll see correction for retiree dates, a stipend adjustment, a few agenda items with number changes, approval for vacation days, attending trainings, LAPTA support staff, volunteers, unpaid leaves, unpaid sick leaves, trainings, and unused sick days. You'll see appointments for EDPs, summer equity coaches, Jumpstart, sub-staff members, Eagles, teachers and substitutes, leave of replacement, substitutes, sub-assistants, sub for secretaries and security monitors, and a transfer to increase hours. You'll see one resignation, and the rate changes I talked about earlier. And with all of that, I'd like to move P1 through P43, please.
Can I ask P4 be pulled out for a separate vote, please?
Say that again, please.
Could P4 be pulled out for a separate vote? Motion.
So it'll be P1 through 3, and then 5 through 43.
Second?
Okay, with a motion and a second, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kroger?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Ms. Santos? Sorry, pardon me. Mr. Van Heist?
Yes.
Singer, yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.
And now I'd like to move P4, please.
Second.
P4, with a motion and a second, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kroger?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
No.
Mr. Van Heist?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Okay. Next, we have a report from CIAPD OIS, which is instructional.
I don't have the report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't-
That's Michelle
King,
King,
I
who's
didn't-
not here,
she
so I
does-
apologize for that.
Well, I could,
Just make the motion.
yeah.
Well, may I ask that you strike OAS 1? We're going to present that at the
Okay.
30th. Okay?
So I would like to move OS 2 through,
Just OS.
just OS 2, which looks like it's travel for workshops and training.
Second. Okay. With a motion and a second, if we could please call the roll.
Ms. Bowes?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kroger?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. All right, we're tabling. Next on the agenda is the Finance Committee report.
Did we move OS S1 and 2?
We did not.
If not, I will move those.
Oh, okay. Which one were we tabling? I'm sorry. Were we
OSS
tabling?
1 and 2?
Yes, those are the
okay.
next two items on the agenda.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, OIS, I'm sorry. I apologize. Get my notes.
There's a
Okay.
motion for OSS 1.
OSS 1 and 2.
One and two.
Second,
Second, Ms.
S,
Bowes.
OSS.
Yes.
Sorry, I just have to learn. Okay.
oh my.
We have a motion and a second. You could please call the roll.
Ms. Bowes?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kroger?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Now we will have the Finance and
Okay.
Committee report.
Thank you. So Finance did meet on Friday, and as will occur occasionally, Tom gave his advanced level dissertations, and for all of us spreadsheet geeks on those. So we ended up describing in detail and looking at our future debt service schedule that will take us out to fiscal year 2033-34. And also describing some of the retirement of debt service at the end of this year. We also had an in-depth discussion about the fund balance and our deposits into reserves, which provide us with fiscal sustainability, funding stability, and hopefully, if we're managing everything right, a stable tax rate, which gives us really long-term planning ability. Which then led into a very long discussion on our capital projects, both ongoing and ones that have been proposed, and with the retirement of debt service, looking at the ability to actually move forward with some of those capital projects. And those include things that we've talked about in all of the board meetings, certainly roofing, siding projects, paving projects, lavatory locker rooms. Several of those actually are, we receive funding assistance from the state via ROD grants. And then additionally, we have been looking at scheduled and proposed projects, such as the LMS auditorium project that has already been approved and is in process, along with proposed projects, and certainly looking at locker room conversions, lightings of some of the athletic fields, solar projects, siding at the administration building, and outdoor classroom spaces. And as we look at our debt service schedule, our fund balance, deposits into reserves, and our long-term sustainability, we may be in a position that we can start moving forward on some of those projects. We also had a discussion of the food services position, certainly with the retirement that we had last year and as discussed in personnel. We're looking at restructuring that and actually not fulfilling that position. And those responsibilities will be apportioned out, including to our contractor and also in-house staff, and that will actually result in either budget neutral or a savings for the district. We had a discussion regarding an outdoor mural that was proposed for the LES wall outside along Craven Lane, and we had suggestions about that, and Tom will coordinate that with LES. We also looked at some rezonings or realignments that would allow us to better manage our classroom spaces at the elementary schools.
freeing up needed space, allowing students to return to their home schools, and reducing morning commute times. So the committee supported the concept and recommended that further considerations proceed with that. And also, we had a long and substantive discussion regarding our preschool expansion grant. And as we heard this evening, that actually is due at the end of this week. So that is on the agenda for proceeding tonight. So with that, that concludes the finance.
You and Tom are getting too close.
And so with that, I will move SBM 1 through SBM 11.
Second.
Okay, thank you. With the motion and a second, if we could please call the roll. Do you need that?
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kroger?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes. Okay, that brings us to the second opportunity for public input. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to new business.
Okay, on new business, you'll see we have substitutes, certified staff, assistants, cleaning, staff appointments, transfers, leave replacements, adjustments, summer program adjustments, mentor appointments, EDP adjustments, and resignation, and new, hot off the press, an appointment for a school nurse. And with that, I'd like to move NB1 through NB29.
May I read that motion for the school nurse?
Would you like me to read the
Into
whole
record?
thing?
Sorry?
You want me to read the,
If you don't, I'd like to. But you can, go right ahead.
oh, I'll defer to
Because the
you.
rest of the board doesn't have that motion. So it's a motion to appoint the following LTEA certified non-tenured staff member for the 23-24 school year, pending background checks and clearances and references on a provisional basis not to exceed 90 days pending information received according to New Jersey statute. This is the appointment of Renee Reyes, a school nurse at Ben Franklin at the step level 3-20, for a total salary of $94,686 to be paid for the standard gap from the standard gap code for nurses.
Now, does that get a new number?
Sorry?
Does that get a new number?
It'll be NB 30.
Okay, so
Yep.
I'll move
Put
it.
it right on the end. Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I'll amend NB1 through NB30.
Thank you.
Second?
Okay, with the motion and a second, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kroger?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Oops,
I did it again.
she's singing.
I tell you what. Mr. Van Hise?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Okay, you have a motion carried.
carried. Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, if we could have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Give me
you.
one more opportunity to call Ms. Santos.